Hello, welcome to EHL Recap. My name is Alex and I'm the BOSC 1 coordinator. First of all, welcome to the recap session for Excel. Just a small rundown, we are a student-run organization. We post free content during midterms and finals for students by students. We give a short presentation and answer any of your questions at the end of the call. We post content exclusively on our website at ehlrecap.tk. If you forget the link, don't worry, you can always log into our Instagram, ehl.recap. We have reminders on future recap sessions and anything else you need to know. I have sent both of these links in the group chat. We aren't affiliated with EHL, so don't keep us accountable if you fail. However, we have worked with professors and students who have taken this class before to put up this material and make sure that it is up to proper standards. And here's Mosh.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just share my screen with you. And first of all, let me ask you if any of you had time to do the mock practice that was uploaded on the EHL Recap website. Oops. So because there are 35 questions in total, and we don't really want to go through each question because they are repetitive. What the hell? Basically, the questions you can solve them using many ways. That's why they were created in this way. Let's say for some questions that you was like meant to do, you were meant to do the formula, you could just do probably control S, but on the exam, for instance, you will see, I would like mention, because we had the session with professor for Excel, so I would just like to then you to pay attention there, because in some cases they won't ask you for a result. For instance, in this exercise, you were always asked for result, or for something you were never asked to copy and paste the formula, just because it's more interesting in that way. If you just copy and paste the formula here, no one will really check it, and so in that way it was more interesting. So if you have any specific question, just don't hesitate to unmute yourself. But I assume that you were more focused on math and the micro and the exams of this week, so you haven't probably really started with Excel. That's nothing wrong with it. So I just selected a few questions that are probably, so I can show you a few different approaches that are most common and will certainly be very useful for your exam. But let's say if other questions are usually the same, or you can solve other questions using one of the few approaches that I will show you. And maybe just to first to give you just a correctional, how may we call it, what professor said. For instance, this kind of exercises that were meant, so the intention here was to use a Vlookup. So you will be asked in the exam probably to use it, but he said that as here you could just do Control and S, that probably you will be asked either to copy and paste the formula for this kind of exercises, or you can have a drop-down list. So you will have to basically fill multiple, like 4 or 5 drop-down lists. So you will like make. Okay. This I can hear an echo. I can hear. Okay. I guess it's better now. Is there still an echo? No. Okay, let's start. So maybe yeah, we can just like go. So we checked with the questions with professor, and I just highlighted the ones that are like that include some concepts that are very important for your exam. So for instance, as you may saw this, so you have 4 different sheets here that you have to use, and on the exam you will probably have also like multiple sheets, but you will not put your answers directly in the sheet. You will have to copy and paste it to the LMS page. So at the beginning of the exam, it won't look like this yet. He said that they are working on this concept and maybe they will introduce it in next semester, but this semester you download the Excel file and you have an LMS quiz. So it's similar to other exams, just that you have to download a file at the beginning. So if we start, maybe I should just copy and paste questions to the sheets that they belong to, so you can see it better. Okay. So the first question that we will do is, from how many countries are the airlines which will fly to Zurich in the next year? That's basically for this sheet. It's also written in instructions, so you can easily orientate yourself. So it's basically, this one is about the B, and the thing that you have to use here in order to complete your task, you will have to remove duplicates. So it's all about this, and so you will just you can just either, because this one is pretty short, but in the exam it's probably be longer. So it just Control Shift and down to select the entire column, and then you will just do the remove duplicates, and you have to select countries. Okay, and actually what you want is just the second one. So how many unique values you are like remaining from this one. So because otherwise like the Excel in this case will just take the first row with the unique value, and it will eliminate other values. So you can see that before the list used to be like until here, and now it's just like unique values remain. So that's then 74. But if you had to work with this one, because like Excel removes the other rows, other columns that are not in the first row connected to unique value, I suggest you in that case maybe it's better to do a pivot table and you can like then work with other values. But we will see a pivot table later on. So okay, so basically probably it's the best so to do it here. And to continue with this one, that we want to have a VLOOKUP for these three numbers. So in that case, if you were, as I said, if you were not explicitly asked to do a VLOOKUP, you could like just do some other options. There are many options. You can like sort it, or there would be a way to find it easily, even in like 500 rows. This one's like very short one, but in the exam usually it will be between 500 and 2000 rows. So you'd be able to find it, and that's not the aim, because they want to test you if you can do the formula, which would, so in this case, I hope you're familiar with it. So it's VLOOKUP means vertical lookup, and it works only when you have let me show you. Like in this case, when you have the first, so you will search for the bonus classes of the airlines with the following customer numbers. So your customer numbers are given in this case. Oh, and we will have to just just reverse it, because we have only unique values now. Okay, so we had to go back, because we want like all the values and not just unique ones. So be careful on that. If you do something on the exam that will change the form of the sheet, be careful if you then use something that you need the entire original list for. Be just careful to know that it's, if you like filter or sort it, that it's not the entire sheet then what you're working for. So this value that it's because it's vertical lookup, that has to be the most left column, or so the data will have to be on the right side of it. Otherwise, you will have to. The other option is if the data are on the left side of the information that you are looking for to connect with, you will have to copy the entire column and paste it on the right side, because VLOOKUP only works in the right direction. Okay, so for instance, in this one, you know that you use a VLOOKUP value, and you can always open the formula builder. That's what at least just our teacher recommended us to do. Let me just work on it. So our VLOOKUP value is this one. In that case, we don't want to lock it, because then we can just drag the formula. So we will not lock this one. We could lock just the B. We could just lock the A. That's what we could do, but because we want to drag the formula down, we want it to be flexible for the rows. So we can lock the column if we want. It's always a good idea if you never know where you want to drag your formula. So if you know that the value is fixed, even if you don't have intention to drag it somewhere at first, you can just lock it, and you know that then it's fixed. Sometimes it can help you. So next thing that you have to select is a table array. And as I said, so as VLOOKUP only works for the values that are on the right side, and we have a customer number, and we are searching for a bonus classes belonging to this customer number, we will just take this part of the table, because we do not need the other part. So you can just do it manually. You can just press Shift, Control, and down, and then it's important to have a column. So you need So the next thing you need is a column index, and that you can just count the 1, 2, 3, 4. So your information will be in 4th column. So sometimes you can also use. You could use a match function with that if you wanted to have something that will because this one, if you now change the columns here, or you add one column, because that can always happen in real life. So you add one column here, and this will not be 4th column anymore. It will be the 5th one. So this one won't change. That's what can happen, and then you need to repair it. But if you work here with match, then it would work. But for the exam, you won't be inserting anything, so it's totally fine to do it like this. And we are searching for the exact match, because this is an exact number, and it should give us the bonus class 5, which should be correct if I'm UAA, so 91570. So if we just check it, think it's this one, and it is the bonus class 5, so it is correct, as you can see. So if we now decide, as we lock the other values, so we can just decide and drag this value down, and it should be all right, because here sometimes you just insert so this one is like a named array, so it's totally fine now to drag down. But if you use because it's already a table. But if it wasn't, that's because, so it's already a table. But if it wasn't a table, and you just use, for instance, so from G5 to J127, you would have to lock it with $signs in order now, because otherwise it would change now. So we have 5 and 6 and 6, what should be correct. But as I said, on the exam, it wouldn't look like that, but rather they would, rather they would ask you, okay, let me see. So you would, this formula that you'd have, so it will be the first drop down list would be for that one. So you would have multiple functions and you will have to know which one works and which one doesn't work. So for instance, here you'd have a drop down list with Vlookup, match, index, you name it. So probably 5 or 6, the professor said. And then you everywhere for each space, like VLOOKUP value, table array, column index, and range lookup, you'd have a drop-down list with a few options, and you, as I said, you have to build it by yourself. So be careful. You can always build. It's not their intention. Yeah, it's not their intention. So for you to learn this by heart, it's their intention that you build it in Excel and you just go and you sit here. And you just go to LMS, you know the formula, so you build it there. So it's not their intention that you know the Excel by heart, because you don't really do that. Okay, so how many airlines either made more than 1 million Swiss francs in 2020 or have one travel class? Okay, so for this one, we would like, you have many ways for doing this one, but I wanted to show you what is so if for the people that are not really there are some that a lot of students probably that are not really very fond of Excel, and they just want to pass with doing the easiest way possible. So I just wanted to show you what may be the easiest way of doing this one, because you have like many ways. You can do a pivot table, you can do formula, but the easiest way probably here. So if we just copy and paste it on the first page, so we have access to it. Just a second. Okay, so how many airlines? So you have an OR here, and if you don't really know, but you don't really know how to use an OR function here, you can use it. Definitely you can, but there is also a simpler way, and that's just so you can just so I would first focus on parameter of one travel class. Okay, so you have travel classes here, and we can just say, okay, so let's sort it according to travel classes, because if you filter it, what happens, the Excel doesn't actually, for the simple filter, because I know that the group, there are 2 different teachers, and the group with professor with him didn't actually learn advanced filter. The class with Professor Gabriel did. So the advanced filter are never necessary to use on the exam, but it would work like really well on this one. But as we don't want to use it because some groups did not use it, we will just do a simple sort. So you see that there is a table, so Excel would automatically recognize the table, and you just want to sort it according to to travel classes. Yeah, so you sort it, because if you just sort it according to travel classes from the smallest to the largest, you will have only the airlines at the beginning with one travel class. Okay, nothing will, because if you filter it, as I said, the values will just be hidden. But if you use a formula for the column, like Excel will also count the rows that are hidden. So, but if you do sorting, that's a smart way of basically otherwise it would be quite complicated formula, but sorting isn't really complicated, and you do the job exactly as you do it otherwise. So now, you can just add one. And why not using sort? which is like pretty simple in comparison to some formulas, to avoid like difficult procedures. That's like you work smart, not hard. So, and then you just say, okay, let's take the revenue and sort it from the smallest to the largest. So now we have it first sorted according to travel classes and then according to the revenue. And if we see how many airlines either made more than, okay, so I basically read it now the wrongly I made and, but okay, we can still fix it. So if you had an and, you would just now you could use count if or and just count it here, but as we have an or, that actually I was doing it for and, but no worries, we can like also solve this one. So we can have like, okay, let's do it that way then. How many airlines made more than 1 million and when you have one travel class? So so we can already count the ones with the one travel class. Okay, so these are the ones with one travel class. So we know it's from row 5 to row 38. So as I said, I could just like do a formula here, but everyone can look to the formulas, and my aim is what we discussed with professor is to show you the other way. Okay, so if you forget the formula, if you can't think of any formula that would do this job, so how to do Excel like really smart if you forget the formula in last minute, or you're under pressure or anything happens. So you can just now take these values that are to this one. So Caribbean already has 2, and we will copy them and we will paste them here. Let's say here. We'll paste this ones, okay? So these ones are the ones with one travel class, okay? And now what we are gonna do, we are gonna go to sort again, and we're gonna delete both sortings and add the new one then. So now we are gonna sort it according to the revenue in 2020 from smallest to largest. And now we can see where is, so I think so this one is 1 million. Okay, so this one is the last one below 1 million, right? 118. Yeah. So that should be the first one with 1 million. So we have either more than 1 million or one travel class. So we have the ones with one travel class here. We still need the ones with more than 1 million, and we can just do it like this. So everything below, they made more than 1 million. So we copy it and we just paste it down here. And now we are going to use what I showed you before, the magical thing, to remove duplicates, because it's or and we may have some duplicates here. Column R. So should be 105 unique values remain. So this one should be 105, just correct it. You may always, with this you have to be very careful, because you can easily, you can select one more or one less and then the answer is wrong. So if you know how to, if you like remember later how to do the formula, for instance, I always suggest you to do Excel questions, or if you have enough time on the exam, always do as many ways as you can think of. So you check your answers, like even the teacher said, they sometimes when they have consultations or some things on the live, they do it like in 2 different ways, so you are sure it's really it's the correct answer. So you can basically like check yourself here and see whether your answer is correct or not. So the next one that we'll look at, so it's okay, so sorting that we basically already. Yes.
Yes. Hi. Could you show again how you store the number of duplicates, please?
Oh yeah, sure. That's very okay. So that should be in a program for both professors, but no worries. So you have this data. So you have here quite some functions that will be useful for you. I know it lists, so text to columns, That's every year you will have to use this on the exam, but I will show this into the last worksheet. So we will come to that, don't worry about this. Then you have data validation, that's when you want to create a drop-down list. They may ask you for this, but I don't really. Oh, he said they could check this by theoretical questions. So that's what you can expect. But so the remove duplicates is really useful formula, as I said. Let's say that you want to remove duplicates this time, maybe just for the travel. Oh yeah, but then you would have just first three. So you see, it will always take the first ones that they appear. So for 3, they will take this one, and for 2 and for 1. So if we do a countries once again, you just select the entire one. Either you go down, so you make sure, but you know, as I said, how to do it. You don't need actually, so you can just do this and shift command should be for Apple, and I think control for PC, and down, so it selects the entire column. But here you don't really need to worry, because it's the table has already been created previously. So when you have a table, Excel usually knows that it's the border is here. So what you do, you just click on remove duplicates, and you have to select the column. So what did we set? Countries, and you just do OK, boom, and you have a number here, how many unique values you have. Usually they don't ask you like really particular questions, because if you are asked, then as I said, it's the best way then is to do a pivot table. But anyway, you have a list here, but as I said, only the first values with certain unique value, only the first row with unique value is left, and the other rows has been removed. So I hope this should be clear now. So why am I insisting on sorting so much? Because as we spoke with Professor, as he said, that let's show you as many ways as we can. So the formulas are clear. I guess they should be. So it's useless now for me to show you all the formulas, like minimum, maximum, and the stuff like this. And it's better to do the how to do like Excel in a smart way if something happens and you feel like you are lost. Sorting once again. So this one is now sorted already. So but we will do it again. So we want to sort the data first according to business class, to bonus classes, sorry, from the large. Okay, so I know one like example like this was on one exercise that was on LMS, and I asked the professor, but it doesn't say from smallest to the largest, because it's like a number, or from largest to the smallest. So if it doesn't say it's if it doesn't say, it's the first thing that Excel will suggest you, and that will be from A to Z, but here it says, and from smallest to the largest. And they can actually ask you like a question like this: so which airline is then on the 10th one? So what we want to do again, just click anywhere on the table. That's a table, so it doesn't matter. You do sort, and this time we said we were going to sort it according to the bonus classes, and then so first it's bonus classes, smallest to largest, and then add one. This time we want to sort it according to the name of the airline. I hope I'm correct. Just correct me if it's not, but should be. Country. Sorry. But, so you see, it's easy if you do a mistake, and it's nothing. You don't have to change everything again. So you just go to the second one. So it's country. A to Z, bonus classes are the first one from smallest to largest. Okay, let's do. And then you have the list here. So which airline is the 10th one? So now you are searching for the airline, and you could theoretically use the formula large here, but you don't really need, or you could. You could do a rank, or you could do many formulas, but I think it's the easiest probably. So we have 5, so it should be 15, so it should be should be this airline, so they would like us to check on them probably. So it should be Jet 2. Yeah, I think it's Jet 2. Because I remember we went through solutions and I think it should be correct. But you have solutions as well on everything's on the EHL Recap website. So, but if you are, so I wanted to say also, if you're unsure about anything, so unsure about any answer or a process, you can just write email directly to me. You can contact Alexandra, and she will refer the question to me. So, because we assume that you will probably do Excel during the weekend, so no worries. If you have some questions, if you feel lost, you just write us and we will try to provide a process or an answer to you. So let's copy this one. So we are still in the first sheet, I think, so this should be the last question for the first sheet. And let's paste it. So what is the revenue for 2010 of the airlines which fly to Zurich since 2006. Okay, now this time, okay, what could you do? You could once again sort it and check, and the 2006 would be together here, and then you could just use the sum, because as I said, once again, if you filter it, there will be rows that will be hidden. So don't do that if you want to calculate anything, but you can always sort it, because then rows are not hidden and the results that you are searching for are together. But let's do this one. Let's do one formula, because I've already shown you twice how to do it smart way. So now let's do it with formula. So if you have a condition and you want a sum, you will always use a SUMIF. And here I hope it's clear, because I just found out that it could mean, so the revenue for airlines which fly to Zurich since 26, so all airlines for all years 2006 and after, but it was meant actually just for the year 2006, but wouldn't really make much difference anyway. So you use SUMIF, and when you use, always remember you have the SUMIF, you have average if, and you have count if. And for count if, it's a bit different, because you don't have a sum range, you have an average range and sum range for SUMIF. But the first range will always be the range that you want to connect your criteria with. So our criteria here is the year is 2006. So this will be a range. So either you drag it down, as I said, or the other option is shift or command for me, and I think control for PC, and you have a named range here already, so you don't need actually, if you were dragging this or doing anything else, you don't need to lock it, because the named ranges are locked. This one appeared automatically because this is already a table, but we'll see in one case, like in last case, that there won't be a table. So you will have to do the table, because if you don't do the table, you won't have these named ranges, and it's really easier to work with named ranges, because here you have, so flying to Zurich things, and you already know, okay, that's correct, and the entire column is correctly selected. Because if you don't have a name ranges, it can happen like really easily that you drag one too far, or you miss something. So I suggest you on an exam that you create a table absolutely when you will have just data, but we'll see that soon. So our criteria we want, also you can work with this one. So I guess it's quite easy. So you want this one to be 2006, and for the sum range you have to use the range where actually the numbers that you want to sum are located. So if they recognize the correct number here, so if the number is 2006, they will take this into consideration for the sum. So they will only sum the rows where this number matches to our criteria, and our criteria is currently 2006. But one more thing, if you have a criteria that's not a number, but a word, for instance, sometimes you may have a country. So let's say that you have what more in short country, let's say Spain. So don't forget, if you work like this, that's fine, because you will have this already in correct way. But if you just type it in here, do not forget that you need the signs if you have text for Excel to recognize it. If you just do it like this Spain, that won't correct you automatically. So you will have to add this by hand. So that's why I personally suggest you, if you have time and you are not so familiar with Excel, it's always better to do the formula builder, because it will help you to see whether your numbers is correct, and I think it's a good idea. So this one should be, as I remember, should be correct as well. And yeah, so let's do. I think we are done for this worksheet. If you have any questions, just don't hesitate to unmute yourself and ask, or as I said, you can do it also later. So there is one time where you will have to do formula. Basically, I don't really imagine doing this one without a formula. Sorry. Okay. Because it would be crazy to do it without formula. So you still have to know, as I said, sometimes you can work smart, but sometimes you will have to know a formula. So as in this case, well, let me just try to, because it's very long text, so we have to wrap the text. Okay, I guess that's good. Then like this, we don't need this one. Okay. So in this case, I will always suggest you. I don't know if we had the same, if we have the same academic assistant, but our academic assistant just show us that it's the best way here to build it, and then just use the if to convert this to the formula, so you are not confused. So let's just read it. If Swiss flies to destination more than 6 times a week, or destination is in European Union, they will pay 200 of tax. We don't have a unit, but that doesn't really matter. If they have less than 20 weekly flights and the flight time is less than 3 hours and 10, they will pay 250 of tax. For others, they pay 300 of tax. How much of tax does Swiss pay in total? So this is a question that's typical sometimes for if you have one. So we have here or, and you have, if they have less, and. So we have one or and one and to use, and the if function, of course. So as I said, I suggest you always to build the formula here. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so first one, we have actually an or. So maybe change it like this. So we will have to build an if function that will contain one and function and one or function. If you are not really sure about that, probably that now that demonstration won't really help you. So if you are not sure how to do that, I suggest you to go on LMS later and then check, or during the weekend, and then check, because this is one of the I think one of the most difficult chapters that we did. And yeah, so this is like the nested, they call it nested or and nested if functions. So okay, let's say, so if Swiss flies destination more than 6 times a week. Okay, so first one is more than 6, let's say, and you know that this is referring to the weekly flights, because that's, I guess, the only number that you have here in this table. Or destination is in EU. Okay, so that's interesting. So you just write in EU. They will have to pay the 200 of tax, so this will be 200. Oh, and of course we will use the H, so it has to be like this, because we will have to use the H. because we will have to then write the values here, and we will have a sum of these values that will be our ending result. And for instance, this exercise is in exam. They can either ask you to build this function. This is the faster one because you just have to build a function like you would do this now here, or they may ask you to compose a formula. As I said, you would have many drop-down lists, and they would ask you for a formula, but we can't really know that. But if you know how to compose it, you are more than well prepared, because then you also know, if you know how to build it, then you also know how to do it with the drop-down lists. So if they have less than 20 weekly flights, so less than 20, and flight time is less than 3 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, this one is quite interesting, because set this one, I guess it's already done here, but anyway, set this one to time, because I hope you are aware of that Excel uses the time. So this is the values here are from 0.01 until 0.99 basically, and they represent the proportion of the 24 hours. So the 0.13 that represent the proportion of 1 hour or of 3 hours and 10 minutes. But so 24 divided by 3, it should be approximately 8, right? And this is approximately 118. If it's easier for you to imagine like this. But otherwise you can always do like a custom. If you don't have it here, I guess should be here. So hours, minutes, that's probably the best way to do it, and you always have it here. And in that case they will pay the 250 of tax. So you have now your thing is composed, and now you can just start building your formula. You can just do like this, maybe to be easier for you. Okay, yeah, and for the others, it's just 300. That what you will use also in if function, because the 2 if functions will be nested here. Actually, it's just one if function, and let me show you now how to do it. So you start with the first if function. Okay, and you have a logical test, and for this logical test you will use, in this case, so now you will use the OR function first, let's say, but so try to keep the same so if here, try to keep this so if there is dimensions first 6 times a week, or destination in EU, try to do this one first, because you know how the if function works. If they can find a match here, they will count it here. If they don't, it will go to the next one. So if you change the rank, or if you change the rank and you do first the end, it can happen that something goes wrong. So I always suggest you to do it like this. Where are we actually? Are we in H6? Okay, so we will do it in this column. As I said, you will always have space in our exam to do it like this. So first one, as I said, we start with first if, and right away we have the first OR. So first OR is this one. So weekly flights is more than 6. So you select weekly flights. It's more than 6. And the second logical is the area is European Union. Okay, let's once again, why I like to do this is because is EU. Okay, so like this, and yes, I think we have to do it actually like this probably. Yeah. So but you, oh sorry, but you don't need to do the formula below. That's why I did this mistake now, because I usually do it here, but so as I said, it's I suggest you, maybe if you are not really comfortable in Excel, it's maybe better to do it in the formula builder, because it will somehow guide you through, so it's better than for you. So I hope you are familiar with OR function. So it will choose if either of this one will match the OR function will give positive result. So if value is correct, then the tax will be 200. So the Excel will display 200 here. And value false, okay, so in every if function you have one possibility if the value is true or the value is false. And so in this one, if you have a nested if function, you will replace value if false by another if, because if this one is false, okay, then the Excel will look at the other if function. So you have a logical test again. In this case, we don't use or, but we use and. I hope this is clear. This should be clear. So or they will take either, and for and both will have to match. Okay, and it will be less than 20 weekly flights. So we are back to weekly flights. This one is smaller than 20, or this one is, I guess, smaller than. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Oh, sorry, I didn't really show you that. But the sometimes the people like if they write it like this, you like to use the cell referencing. So, but you have to lock it. Okay. So okay, we could do it like this. For instance, also for EU, if you are not sure whether you have to do with the signs or not, you can just do it with the cell referencing and just lock it, and you make sure that it works fine. So this one should be good. So less than 20 weekly flights, and the flight time is less than 3 hours and 10 minutes. So yeah, why I just remember this, because when you have the time, Excel can be quite tricky. So if you just wrote here 3 and the semicolon, the column and 3 column 10, the Excel may not recognize this as time, and the whole formula can be pretty, like, you may get some error, and then we don't like errors in Excel. So maybe when you have time and when you have date, it's better to use the cell referencing. Just remember this. So if the value is true, we have 250. Okay, and now you don't need one more if, because for anything else, the value will be 300. So you just write 300. I always suggest you, okay, so you be careful, you need brackets, so, and now I suggest you just check true, you click OK, and that's the moment of the truth. So this should be correct. Looks so, yeah. So there are not many with 250. If I remember correctly, it should be just 1, 2, 3, I think, or just 2, but it looks correct. So you can always check it. Sometimes it may be good just to check 2 or 3, because if you make a mistake, usually the first 3 won't match, except it's a really easy one. So it was Swiss flight destination more than 6 times a week, so we have 14 flights a week, so this one's already good, as you can see. Or the destination is in EU, so this one is less than 6, but the destination is in EU. So yeah, just you can just check it like this, and you will probably notice if you've done some mistake. Okay, let's do this one then. We need the passenger list here, and we will take a look at the average weight of the checked-in baggage. So what's important in this exercise? It's tricky. So for instance, you will have different numbers. I don't know, we try to focus on this one industry, so not to confuse you even more. But I know that professor likes to use FIFA. I know that last year in the exam there was a list of football player with countries, and I think it was a total score, and how they behave as defender or offender, what their position is. So it may be the area that you are unfamiliar with. Like, I know some people are totally lost when they see football. There may be food, there may be like some data from some companies, there may be some like a convention list, and you have guest names and you have the numbers. So it can be basically anything. Yeah, in that case it's an airplane, because it was interesting for us to make something new, because as I said, the professor liked to use some list of people, and but you never know what they're going to use. So this one is interesting because if you just do the average here, the zeros will be counted with this average. So we don't really want that. As I said, we want to eliminate these zeros, see, because the average, if you take these zeros into consideration, the average will be smaller than you want. So just read it, and even if you're not familiar with the industry, try to figure out it. But I think they will be fair, and they won't really, if we have like this year, maybe handball players, they won't ask you for some term from handball that you have totally no idea what it means. So once again, you have two options of doing this one. So the first one that I can show, it's very simple. All good sort. So you will just sort it, but we will do formula later because we've already done this a lot of times. So number of bags is 0, okay, and you will just take the baggage rate from here to the end, and you just calculate the average. That should work perfectly fine. But if we want to show a different approach this time, let's say, and we want to use average if, so let's use average if this time. I strongly suggest you, let's say, I know FA is very important for people. They spend a lot of time. So sometimes people tend to forget about the Excel a bit. So if you want to maximize your grade with minimizing your effort, just there are some things that will appear in every exam, and the things that I'm showing you today, try to go through them. I think if you just know maybe the average if, sum if, count if you know how to do what we'll do in this sheet, that's the text to columns, if you know how to remove duplicates, if you know how to do sorting, that won't take you long to learn. You can't really learn the entire Excel course now in 2 hours, but if you know this, you can certainly pass without any problems. So just try to focus on some stuff that's really that appears in exams every year, and every year in exam you have average if, sum if, count if. That's something that really appears a lot of times. So in this case, our range will be the same as the average range. So that's not really common, but this time it is the case. So this is our range. The criteria is more than 0. It could be not 0 or anything, and actually this one will be exactly the same one. So it's package weight as well, and you close it, you check it, okay, seems fine. You never like when this appears. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe he doesn't like more than. Okay, this one. Okay, you can use, I guess, this one.
Sometimes you need to put brackets.
Oh, sorry. At the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah, before and after.
So always check this. Thank you so much. Wait.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, on top of the bigger than 0, you need to put like the two like text.
Oh yeah. Just sorry.
I forgot the name.
This. Yeah.
Exactly.
Should be, yeah. Sorry. Oh yeah, because when you use a smaller or bigger and you don't have exactly one cell, you use this one. That's why I said. But if you do it with the formula builder, it will do it for you. Okay. So, but as I said, so we always have different options, and if you know how to do it in 2 different ways, that's the best for you. So 2 last digits on boarding number. I guess we are still here. Yes.
Questions?
Yes, sure, please.
So you were talking about we could also do the sort and see what is you sort from the smallest to largest, and you have 0 to all the different weights. Yes. But what if they ask for like a formula? So here we did this formula, but how do you know that they want a formula? You can just put the numbers in, or?
Yeah, but you will see in the quiz what they're asking for. As we spoke with the teacher, we had the consultation with professor. He went over this one, and he said that everything's correct, except for instance for this, he said, yeah, but students can just do control and search, yeah, but so the aim of this in like mock exam or how you call it, it's not to cheat on yourself. The aim of this one, because we can't check here how did you do the exercise. So the aim of this one is more for you to become familiar with this, but you will see what the question asks. Okay, so they may ask you for this one, sure, but as I said, they may also give you a 1, 2, 3, 4 drop-down lists. Okay, so they may give you 4 drop-down lists, and you will have to compose a formula. But if you can do it here, that's fine. But I think he said it will be around half time, like in 50% of situation they will ask you for number, so that's when you can use the sort and the basic average, and then 50% you will have to use formula or the drop down list. It doesn't, you know why it's not really common that they like you to copy and paste the formula? It's because it's very painful then to check this over, because it's not, you can do this formula in like so many different ways, and it's still the result is still correct. So they have to check it manually, and that takes a lot of time. So he said that probably the copy and paste formula, that's like a last resort for them. Usually it's a drop down list. But you will see this, it will be like clearly asked in question. Okay, so what we want to use here, okay, it's an interesting thing. So they may ask you, so I hope you are familiar with the functions that format the text. So in this case, the last digits on the right, these are the two digits on the right side, they represent the flow-through index. That's like nothing in real world. Okay, so that's just invented because sometimes they may ask you. I think he said last year when there was a FIFA on the exam, the last 2 numbers represented the country. Okay, and the people were asked from how many different countries are the football players on the list. Okay, so but it's the same. You just know you have to use the right function. The right function will just take the number of digits that you want. So in this case, this is the text, okay, that you want to use, and you want 2 last characters on the right. So let's check. Should be right. 97, 30, 46. Okay, that works. And we want the average index. Okay, because if they just wanted this one, they could give you, as I said, once again, they could give you a drop-down list, sure. But if they want to check if you could like drag the formula and use it correctly, they would just say, okay, so give us an average index. Basically, we can just do it here. Why would we do it at the end? So it's just an average index. So this one, and again, shift control, and okay, now we have divided by 0. You never really like that, and we have to. Then you have to. If it happens in your exam, don't just say, okay, I don't know how to do the question. Just try to do it. We'll see, maybe. Because I'm using the, oh yeah, so okay, of course, I don't know how familiar are you with, but also when you use the random, this will not be an absolute value. This will just be this formula. Actually, the value will just be displayed, so you have to copy it. Okay, and if you want this to stay, you have to copy it and paste the values on the exactly same position. You can paste them somewhere else, and now it will be just an absolute value. Okay, sometimes if they ask you, they sometimes ask you to do the random numbers between 50 and 100, and they change, like every time you click somewhere, the random numbers change. So you have to copy and paste the values because they have to stay the same. But probably in that case, they would just ask you to do the formula, because they won't look at your sheet actually, right? So now should be correct. It's divided by 0 again. So number, okay, let's eliminate this one. nothing better. Why this one doesn't work now? Maybe, okay, just do it manually, because it can happen that always it's something average. Okay, drag it. Okay, now should be good. Yeah, the table was a bit, I guess, confused because it's divided by 0 again. Now it's probably something about formatting. Yeah, let's see, numbers are, oh, sorry. Okay, just don't do the stupid mistake that I did now, and check. This is, due to some weird scenario, this was formatted as a text, so Excel didn't recognize this as a number, this is numbers. So we want it to be a number, and why is not a number? Okay, strange. Convert to numbers, but you should do now this for everything. Okay, yeah, so finally we got through and the result is 97, should be good. So yeah.
How do you convert to numbers?
So it was, you see, the Excel will always, oh no, it's not just the first one, yeah. The Excel just, okay, you have always, if something unexpectedly happens, because I don't know why this is now formatted as numbers, but you can always do copy, and let's just paste them here and format it as number. Okay, this should work now. Convert to number. Why is this not a number? Okay, that's really weird. That's the first time it happened to me. Maybe that was the default. I mean, certainly, maybe I think that's because the worksheet is like formatted in that way. But don't worry, because on your exam they don't want you to fail due to some strange mistake that's probably from the creation, that origins from the creation of this file. But they want you to be successful on the exam. Just let's try this, and if it doesn't work, we won't really bother ourselves with that. So we want it to be a number. Let's see, is it a number now? I think it is. I think it should be, and it's going to average. Should be good now, hopefully. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So the average is 64. Okay. So the last result, I don't know. I think because the worksheet was formatted as a text, this one, that's why it was originally a text, and you have to just change it. But as I said, on the exam, the professors won't try to disturb you with some strange thing that appeared here. It will be all right, and you won't really have to do that. So what would be the total revenue for the Swiss flies if they decided to round the prices? Okay, so this is an interesting exercise about rounding. So we want to, let's say insert one here. So or let's say let's move this one's, let's get rid of this one, because this one doesn't really cooperate with us. We'll just move these ones to the right, or just move the question here. So now the question is not copied. Okay. Anything happens in Excel, so just don't stress out if something doesn't work immediately. Okay, so what would be the revenue? Okay, we can just do this here. Okay, I think it should be fine, totally fine. And you need to know the formula, and the formula is mRound. That will round the number on the multiple that you want. So here it's 0.5. We used to have 0.45. Yes, exactly. So it works perfectly. You just click on this one. Oh, and of course it doesn't work because we have to lock. Let's say this is a G5. Okay. In this case, you will have to create. That's what I didn't want to happen, but now it will have to do like this. In this case, you will have to copy this one to the other place. Let's insert one more column here, and let's put it here. So okay, so let's say this one is M round, as we saw. So M round, and the number is actually from this one. It's the ticket price, and the multiple is 0.5. So this is here, and at the bottom you just sum it, and it should be good. So just a sum. I hope it's not the case, because this worksheet actually we did it by ourselves. It's not from the EHL, so that's why it may be. Yeah. So this is then the sum of it. This one is luckily not formatted as a text. So this should work perfectly fine, and you should not have any problems with that. So, okay. Right. Okay. Why does it keep happening? No worries. So this was the last exercise in this worksheet. I guess if you still have then later any questions or anything, as I said, you can always contact me or contact us. And the questions will, if you contact Alexandra or EHL Recap, they will forward the question to me. And of course, as we are like a students organization, it may always happen that there is some mistake inside, and we didn't notice, and the professor didn't notice. So if you find some mistake, you can, or in solutions, you can always notify us, of course. So I think every year in the exam, you get one sheet that has text like this. So if you even want to start working on your worksheet, you have to know how to do something with this, because right now it's not really useful. So in that case, you just select the first column where you have data. You do data, and you do text to columns. So it's delimited 99% of time, fixed width. That's what won't happen. I think we can be clear on that. That would be so here. But anyway, if you have fixed width, that means that you have, for instance, 5 characters in each column. So you have 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, but that doesn't really happen anytime. So be careful. Here you have your how it looks at the moment. So here, what is your separator? Is a comma. It could be semicolon, space, anything. It could be anything else, like a plus, for instance. I remember once, sometimes 1 year, I think, in one previous exam, they put like a phone number in the last one, so you had to include a plus because it wasn't a comma, but it was a plus. So be prepared also to that. Be prepared to anything, because the teachers, professors, they have really good imagination on what can happen. So I suggest you, when you get this one, you say perfect, so it's good, and because you will have to do some calculations with it, I suggest you to do the table immediately. So it's not A1, it's A2, as you can see. You could actually delete this. It's not the important data. It's just one important data, as we couldn't really do a today function. So for all the calculations, you will have to use this as today, okay? This is actually today. So you don't use the today function, but you use this day for calculation, okay? So that may also appear in your exam, because if they want you to use a today function, that's valid only on that day. And because we are in different time zones, it may happen that some students' exam is at, for instance, I think so at 9 should be, and some people on western coast of USA No, it's good, but anyway, it could still happen that some of you would be in different day, so they can't ask you to use today function this year, especially not. So you will be given the date in case you have to calculate the difference. Okay. Perfect. So find the captain which has joined the airline most recently. How many days ago was it? Okay. So you are not asked for the name of the captain. You are just asked for how many days ago was it. And I hope you know the function dated if. Why is this function so special? Because it doesn't appear in here. You have to create it by yourself. If you're not familiar in dated if function, I would strongly suggest you that's one of the things that you will certainly need for your exam. So you can Google it, you can search your notes, or even during the exam, if you remember, I don't know how to use it, as it's open book, you can always open your notes or the professor's notes and you check how to use it. So basically, just for functions. Okay, so before we use started if, we want to do something else as well. So as I said previously with hours, also the days in Excel are nothing more than numbers. So number one in Excel, that's always interesting to show you. I don't know if you know, I hope some of you know. So everything starts with the 1st of January, 1900. So Excel, before the date, you can't calculate with Excel, sadly, if you wanted to. So that's number one, and this is just the serial number of the day after this. So if someone, for instance, was born on that day, luckily, so he's not alive anymore, but this is just the serial, and would I think now it's around, so today should be around 44,000. So it would be he or she would be alive for 44,000 days. Okay, so you can just, but I strongly suggest you, for better imaginations, to immediately change that. You can just use short date, and that would be much better, I assume, for you. So dated if, you want to use this in the other, so you don't want to use this here directly. You always just use it in the other column. It's easier for you because you will then have to use min function, I guess. We want to know how many days has the captain and has most recently joined Swiss, been with the company. So it's always dated if. You see, it is there, but Excel won't guide you. So luckily Excel will guide you for all the other functions that you will need for this exam. This is the only function that Excel won't guide you through. So this is one function that you have to remember, and it's quite easy. It's start date, so this is the start date in this case. And the end date would be today, but you have to imagine that we are here, that's your today. And then you have different values, of course, that you can do. So you have years, 4 years, it will just take into consideration how many full years is the difference between 2 days, how many full months is the difference between 2 days. We will here use the days, but if you wanted to use just the days or months which are after the full years, you would use YM and YD. So that would just calculate after the full years how many days is still missing to this number. Of course, what you have to be careful is to lock this one F4 because you will drag the function down. So every time when there is a named range, you don't need to do that, but here of course you have to do that. As I said, we are going to use the date because we are interested in how many days. And so let's see. Okay, we have okay, this is certainly not annual leave days. Okay, so this is days with Swiss. Okay, days with Swiss. Let's expand it so you can see it. And I think let's say you need the min function just to show you. This is one of the basic functions. I think we learned this like in first lesson probably. So the 54 is the smallest one. Maybe it would be, so maybe it's interesting also Yeah, so this one's 54, but otherwise you could just sort it out. For instance, you wouldn't really need the min function. As I said, you have a table here, so when you have a table, you can just click anywhere on a table. You go here, you sort it according to the days with Swiss from smallest to largest, and if you were asked for a captain's name or anything, you could just do that, okay? So this is like there's one more interesting exercise for working with this. Okay, so and also you must know how to use month and day function and workday function and year function as well. So this entire sheet is dedicated to the exercises with time, where you have to use the different time frames. So here we are gonna use, okay, so what's the questions? How many pilot joined Swiss on Monday? Okay, interesting. We will determine each day that they join it. So we do work, so the weekday should be fine, and this is the serial number. It always stays the serial number, okay? So in Excel, this is never a date, it's just displayed as a date. This field will always be the serial number, actually. And then I prefer to use this one, numbers. We can use this one or this one. Doesn't really matter because anyway, so let's use the first one. From Sunday to Saturday. And anyway, I would suggest you, because you could get confused otherwise, I suggest you to do like this and to have it displayed properly. So I usually tend to do customs, and you just do day, and there it is. So which day are we searching for? Monday. Okay, so if you ask for Monday, okay, you can also be asked for instance, let me show you one more for a month, for instance, and then you have to do month. This is just the serial number, you see. So, and also for month, you can, if you are confused with these numbers, you shouldn't be really. For days, it's more confused because it doesn't always start on on Monday, so you can be confused. Oh, sorry, I did it again. That should be fine. Wait a second, why it doesn't work? Should work. Okay, so month. I think you can also get it here. Okay, yeah, we can get it here as well. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. But you have to do it directly with the, okay, you can't do it here. You have to do it this. If you want to display it just with months, you would have to do just copy and paste this one and just display month, okay? But that doesn't work for calculations. That's what I wanted. I basically show you what the professor said. If you have to do some calculations with month, you will have to use this serial numbers, okay? But anyway, I think we were asked to count Mondays, so you use a count. You can use when you have numbers, but here we actually have so we have the text, but as it's programmed, so you can use this, or you can use so you have actually, as I said, that's just how it's displayed. So but you can always do old good sort. You sort it by I think it's column 1. Oldest to newest, is it? Okay, yes, perfectly. And you see that so it's 10, 7, so 8 pilots joined in on Monday. So you can always do this if you don't want to take risk. If you, as I said, if you don't feel so comfortable with Excel and you don't want to take risk and do it with function. And there's one thing that the professor said that I should show you. Okay, let's do it with, I'm just searching. I think the most appropriate table to do it should be this one. No, let's say this one. Okay, should be this one. Okay, then that's a pivot table, because why they really like to use pivot tables in the exam. They can't really force you to do the pivot table, but it's really useful. He said we should definitely show this. New working sheet, and let's use this one. Yes. Okay. Selected table. Okay, why isn't this okay? Usually when you huh? Sorry?
If you want it on this sheet, you need to click on existing worksheet.
Yep. No, I wanted it on actually on a new one, but if it's on this one, fine. There's something wrong with because it's formatted as table, at least should be. Okay, but it's not valid. What about the new worksheet? Otherwise, we'll just do it with the other one, because I don't know why it worked actually when we had the consultation with the professor. That's why I don't really know why it doesn't want to work now. We couldn't get data from table 4 in the workbook. Open the workbook in Excel and try again. Okay. In that case, I have a plan B. If I do, which is to open this file, which is the one that we worked with professor, luckily, and we'll just delete this, as I said. So this is a pivot table of this one. I don't know why I didn't want to work there. Let's try it here. New worksheet. Okay, perfectly fine. I don't know, the worksheet, I'm sorry, that I was having before in May, I don't know why it didn't want to work, but I'm sure that in exam you won't have this problems. You shouldn't have. So when you use a pivot table, I hope you can help yourself around. It's the thing that the professor said that we should show you definitely is let's do it. Let's say we need now some examples, and let's say what do we want. So let's say we want the revenue, we want passengers on columns, and we want countries on the rows. So passengers. Where do we have the okay passengers? Here in values. Okay, and let's say and we want boarding type here. Okay, we can do that, or maybe even better to do this here. No, let's do this here. What I was searching for, no. Is to do, so you have to know how to, I'm going to show it here then, let's say. So he said special care of grouping and ungrouping, okay? So you have data here that are, so we have a count of passengers here, and we have ticket price. So this is actually for this one. Is this one, maybe it's better to show you on this one, because on the previous one we don't have the values like this. But don't worry, in the exam the value will, the table will always be appropriate for what they want from you, okay? So they tend to ask you, so okay, so how many passengers paid between 500 and 1,000 Swiss francs for a ticket, okay? Okay, and in that case, you have to group it. You will start at 0, let's say, and you will end at, I think, so this is the maximum value, but let's end at 5,000. And so if your question is how many passengers paid between 500 and 1,000, you have to do it by 500. So you know it's 77. And in that cases, the pivot table will take much less time than doing it by formula, okay? And you can always like add, so let's say what we can do, okay, classes we have here in filter. So you can also, if they ask you how many economy class passengers paid between 500 and 1,000 for a ticket, 77. So I assume now that everyone from this group is in economy. But if they ask you, for instance, how many business class passengers paid between 3,000 and 3,500, you can always do it like this, okay? So if you, in the pivot tables, it's the most important only to know how to group it and ungroup it, because other things that you can do with pivot tables, you can always do it with formulas. Except this one is really nasty to do it with a formula, okay? So you just click here, you do right click, and you have group and ungroup, okay? So it's nothing really special. You can do it by 100, by 10, by 500, by 1,000, anything you want. So you can do it by 100, for instance, but then you have a long list, of course. Okay, so anything else? The other.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Right. So I was wondering, if you wanted to group by semester or years, would you be able to do the same thing? So
yeah.
Okay.
We have years here. Okay, so let's do it. I think should be flying to Zurich since. Okay. So when we want init columns, this one should go out. And okay, so some of passengers know, but the airlines, right? So this one here and the airlines here. Okay. Do we need a count of flights? No. Oh, sorry. The other way around. Airlines should be here, and years flying to Zurich since should be here. Okay, yeah. So, and then we do group. Where is it? Should work. Okay, so we start at 1969. Let's say 1965, because let's say by 5 years, and I think 2021 is not included. Or is it? It is. Okay, so then we say 20.5, and you can just do it the same. You could do it with hours as well, so it's not a problem. The pivot tables work usually for anything you want to do with it. So this one was a good example. Thank you, Ayat. This one was much better example. Yeah. So for grouping and round grouping, so you have it here for 5 years. But the only thing you have to be careful with is the interval that they ask you for, okay? So, but you will always see if that's correct. And the other thing, so if they only ask you, the good thing here is so that you can always add the other things if they ask you. For instance, you can add travel classes here, or you can add it as well in but travel classes are not really useful here, but bonus classes I wanted to do. So bonus classes in filter. So if they ask you how many airlines with bonus class 5 and 6, they've started flying to Zurich between 2000 and 2004, you see 5. Okay, if that question, for instance, how many airlines with bonus class 5 and 6 started flying to Zurich in between 2000 and 2004, that would be extremely difficult to calculate with formula, okay? So in that case, I strongly suggest you to use pivot table. And yeah, that's basically, let me check what professor recommended, what we did for you, and that's basically it from our fixed program. But if you have any questions that we may answer, or anything you want to say, it's now the time. You can just unmute yourself, and it should. Okay. So yeah, this is the example that actually we did with professor on this worksheet, and that's how you should build the form. How you would be asked to build a formula on the exam. Just as I said. So just drop the box. So, okay. Does anyone have any question, any comment, anything? Well, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mai. It was great.
Thank you. So, as I said, if you try to do this, and if you still have any question or anything, just don't hesitate to contact us. If you find any mistakes, don't hesitate to let us know. And that was it from my side. I hope it was helpful for you, and good luck on the exam.
Thank you, Mai.
Thank
Have a nice day.
Thank you, bye.
Thanks, Mai. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mosh.
Thank you.